Guten Tag and Assalamu alaikum to the believers.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. How are we doing?
Decent.
Very happy. Dio, were you able to grow any facial hair over the weekend?
Did my best.
Did you succeed?
Nah.
Sure. But at least you tried, you know. You can get like second runner-up medal. I believe they provide that to the transsexual community. Wonderful. Do, 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 do. So guys, cameras on. Thank you. Cool. Give me a moment and I'll turn my camera on. Archer Hart, good to see you.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good as well, thank you.
So, have you spoken to Ernest before?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, your voice is cracking.
Have
I cannot really hear.
you spoken to Ernest before?
Yes, I have.
He's very rude, isn't he?
Is he rude? No, I don't find him
No,
rude.
saying he's very rude, isn't he?
No, not really.
Not as
Well, I
bad
find
as you.
me. No, I'm telling you, he has to be more approachable and like likable, similar to me.
Well, I think he's approachable and likable as well, so.
As well, you see, as well. I appreciate that. Yeah, take the wins where we can. Does anybody have any questions to kick us off, or before we start?
Not any I can think of.
Wonderful. One small update. I'm not sure when we're gonna get started on it, but basically, all of our outreach is going very well, which basically means we're going to be booking appointments for you guys because we can. So that should turn on as soon as I'm bothered to turn it on. But basically, a bunch of appointments are waiting to be booked in, and we're just not booking them in. So that should be something that we do.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, I saw it in the Ocean course, the coming soon thingy. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Wonderful. Look at Dio being likable. Don't know where he from. Wonderful. There we go. So we're gonna be doing the spinning wheel. Let me just close a few things. Wonderful. So give me 1 second. Manjul, how you doing?
Doing good.
Manjul, you need a haircut.
Yes.
Yeah, just to let you know. You look kind of slave in terms of just like appearance. Yeah. So whoop, whoop. Wonderful. Granted, I'd rather do intellectual bias. So we're gonna do intellectual bias because the bulk of you are too weak to do killing killers. Like just no level of, courage. Like courage, a cowardly dog has more level of courage. So today we're gonna be going over intellectual bias. All right. And by the way, if anyone, just to show you, let me show you guys a screenshot. This here is a high level way to run an agency in terms of client for clients. Can you guys see and read that? Yeah, you had it, you lost it. Now, onto intellectual bias. Yes. So, give me 1 second in my notepad. second, my things are entangled. There we go. 1 second, guys. I'm just being like Leo. Go. There we go. Success. Excellent. So now let's try this. You guys should have the answer. Who wants to tell me what an intellectual buyer is? Dio. Wow.
So an intellectual buyer is someone who's financially secure. We definitely don't want to do a negative report with them, as emotions simply won't work with them. What will work with them is pure logic. So if they have any questions, we answer them immediately, right? So we give them the information they need right off the bat. And the sales process would simply look like positive report, presentation, and no close.
Okay, good. Why doesn't emotional pulling work with them?
Because they already have enough money, right?
What does that mean?
That they're not emotionally attached to money.
Good. So as such, we can't do much. As an example, if I take a woman from a man and that man has 99 more women, he won't even recognize that it's gone or that she's gone, right? But as an example, if I took a woman from Andrzej, he would then be in scarcity, as that in the hypothetical that he was able to achieve, woman would be the only woman that he has. Wonderful. So intellectual bias, fundamentally, no negative rapport. So there are certain niches. Yes, I also want to discuss identify. Yes, there are certain niches which will, and let's also go over lies. There are certain niches which have a lot more intellectual bias than other niches, right? That's fine. Cool. There are certain niches that have more. So, someone give me an Marcus, give me an example of where you are likely to see intellectual bias.
Um, an example of what they are going to ask me for.
A niche which is heavy on intellectual bias.
Lawyers. No.
What is a niche that has lots of intellectual bias?
Home renovation, I think.
Good.
Most
Lawyers
said,
firm.
but e-commerce well, e-commerce.
Fuck no, what do you mean e-commerce? E-commerce is for the fucking dropshippers.
Some of them make enough money.
And some of them don't make enough money.
That's right.
Right? The bulk of them don't make enough money. Abdullah, give me another niche.
Real estate.
No, no. Full of fucking broke motherfuckers. Terrible, terrible choice. Celine, give me a niche which has lots of intellectual bias.
Um,
Um,
I don't know.
Andrzej.
I'm not sure how it's pronounced properly, but trip agencies.
As in travel agencies.
Travel, yes, that's what I meant.
No. Dear, you tried, you failed. Mansoor.
Like e-commerce.
Cybersecurity.
Guys, we did so well last week over not and Then you went back to society for the fucking weekend and you brought it all back, please. Mansoor, please.
E-commerce, like well-established brands.
So what niche has, so what niche? Yeah, I said niche. And you said well-established brands. Does that count as a fucking niche? No, it doesn't. Chahat, help me out here.
I do not know if it's a niche or not. Maybe healthcare and like fitness,
No.
drinks
Fitness
or
is full of,
something.
fitness is full of brokies.
Mhm.
The Indian Where's Waldo? Indian Where's Waldo? Manjul, that is you.
Med spa.
Yes, med spa technically. You get a lot of broke people in med spa, but proper med spa, yes. Now, guys, I don't know how you're fucking it up, right? Why does somebody need to be an intellectual buyer to be in med spa? Or let's say, as an example, solar. Or let's say roofing. Why? Why are the bulk of them automatically intellectual buyers? Anybody, don't be shy. If you guys want to tag team, feel free to tag team. Mansoor.
Excessive regulations.
No. Dio.
Aren't they experienced? Okay.
No.
A question I have.
Um,
Why law firms are not in this amount of people who are intellectual buyers, like
are you talking law firm or lawyer?
law firms?
Law firm would be classed as an intellectual buyer, yes. A law firm, not a lawyer. But also it depends on the law firm. Like when you say firm, that sounds very big. But a new practice, not necessarily.
Okay, understand.
Okay. So, Chahat, Celine, do you guys know anything about the medical spa niche?
No,
Okay.
not really. Not too much.
I'm going to apply this dentist. So, those of you from a first world nation, you guys know what the dentist is. Yes? So, a dentistry is also would be classed to an extent as an intellectual buyer. The reason for this is how much money does the machinery cost? Like how much does it cost the machinery? Right? Exactly the same. To have a roofing business, do you think it's going to cost a little bit of money to start a roofing business? Right? Where you've got the trucks, all the materials, so on and so forth. Same with solar. Med spa. Yeah. The machinery to do a BBL, I'm sure it costs a lot of money, right? More often than not, with proper med spas, let's say the machinery will cost what, 500K, maybe 100K, or so on and so forth. What they do is they go to banks, they get loans. And what this tells us is that they are familiar with the spending of money, the utilization of money, and the paying back of money. Does this make sense? 9 times out of 10, qualifying them for intellectual. Now, Marcus, the reason I made reference or I asked to clarify lawyer versus law firm, a lawyer can have a lot of money or a lawyer can be broke to shit. A law firm typically has fuck money because of the clientele and the retainers, so on and so forth. But a small practice may not necessarily, because you don't even need an office. Obviously, it depends on the countries, but in most countries, you don't need a situated office. You don't need a paying team. Make sense? Right? Also, lawyers don't make much money, right? So lawyers who work for law firms, while they may charge X amount per hour, right? By the way, all of you guys need to know this. Whenever you work with a lawyer, right? There's a high chance that the lawyer is going to try and work with you independently away from the firm and tell you their hourly rate. Have you guys heard this before, that lawyers have a very high hourly rate? Biggest load of shit. They get salaries. The firm has a high hourly rate, but the lawyer will not see that money from that. Does that make sense? Right? So they can charge whatever the fuck they want, right? These fuckers on 30, 50, 80K per month. No, sorry, per year. Now, obviously they can get bonuses depending so on and so forth, but we're not here to learn about law firms. But then the firm is likely to be an intellectual, would be acting as an intellectual buyer. Realistically, charging them 5K would mean absolutely nothing, like absolutely nothing, right? But now, one other thing on why dentistry, but most better than dentistry, a better example would be chiro. Chiropractic, yes, it costs money. You need a whole degree, so on and so forth. But they don't have a lot of money because they make margins, but they don't have upsell potential, right? So when someone goes to the chiropractor, they go to the chiropractor. There's not much else that can happen. If, as an example, Celine went to the med spa, got her lips done, all of a sudden it's then the cheeks and the eyebrows and the bow, so on. Every body part can be upsold to Celine, as an example. Make sense? All right, so the margins are much better, but then all of these, but then, okay, someone tell me.
So wait, tattoo shops as well?
Fuck no. I don't think the material is expensive, is it?
Yeah, but people will also keep coming back, getting tattoo on arm, second arm, and like all body parts.
But then, okay, but then you compare like a well-established place or a well-established, like if it's well-established, yes, they have money, intellectual buyers. They have lots of clientele coming through. They're making thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, right? And they are happy to pay for more clientele. But then a starting tattoo shop, fuck no. However, someone starting in solar, they should have enough access to funds to get started, depending on what they're doing, right? Because then you've got other examples where someone's starting a roofing business. And you guys, if you're in roofing, you'll bump into these people. So I have a roofing business, but I'm not an intellectual buyer because what I'm doing is I'm getting jobs and I'm sending these jobs to subcontractors. So none of these people are my people. I'm just taking the margins in between the jobs and the subcontractors. Make sense? And then in this case, it wouldn't be classed necessarily as an intellectual buyer. You get lots of brokers trying to do this as well. But this is a very good way to start getting your own projects, your own crew, so on and so forth. Right?
Isn't it called drop servicing?
No, that's just something Iman Ghatzi decided to make out of thin air in order to resell shit to people. Because, there's no difference between drop servicing and running a marketing agency. And the other thing he called it, like drop contracting, whatever the fuck. Yeah. Drop servicing isn't a thing. It's just contracting. Yes. So now that you guys have an understanding for the specific niches, then I'll ask a general question. Yes, it's relatively obvious. Why isn't real estate classed as intellectual buyers? They make lots of money per deal. So why are they not to be assumed to be intellectual buyers?
Because the barrier of entry is
okay. Yes, a deal. That's a good
low.
Barrier of entry is stupidly low. Like anyone can become a fucking real estate agent. Abdullah, what else?
Same thing as the law firm and the lawyers.
Yes. Right. I wouldn't compare brokerages to real estate agents, but the fact is, when it comes to it, this is a good way to put it. Okay, this is a great way to put it. So let me explain. All of you should know about the 80-20 principle as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right? But now, Dia, why are you saying yeah, so you fucking represent the whole fucking group? Right? So over here, 80-20 means in our case, or the most prevalent case to you guys, 20% of all of your work that you do will impact 80% of your success, and 80% of your work will impact 20% of your success. Does anyone have any questions here? All right. But now the 80-20 principle applies to all of life. So what does that look like? 20% of all music ever made controls 80% of all the listening time, right? 20% of Beethoven's music contributes to 80% of what he's known for. So to the artist, to the industry, to the same extent, real estate, 20% of agents make 80% of all the money. Realistically, it's 10% make 90. This applies to borderline everything. Yes? But now, why doesn't it always apply here? This is because these fields here have a really high barrier to entry. Yes, it can be argued that the biggest ones make the most money. That's perfectly fine. But the barrier to entry, and with that, we can comfortably say competence. The competence required to start the bulk of these will push away all the stupid people, maximizing the chances of success. Does that make sense? All right. But then with real estate, there's no fucking barrier to entry. So like 90%, 95% of all fucking agents are absolute dog shit. And a bunch of them are just lucky. So now the key thing is identifying and looking at lies. It would take me approximately 1 minute at a push to know if someone is an intellectual buyer. I can review a call or hop onto a call, and I should know within the first 10 seconds whether or not I'm dealing with an intellectual buyer or someone who's broke. Why? Why does it take me 10 seconds to 1 minute to figure it out?
As answers,
Sometimes, but there are times I can tell without them even speaking.
body language,
Go further.
The way they talk about money, about the investment.
eye
within 1 minute.
contact,
Yeah, I'm on a fucking Zoom call.
How they dress on the video call?
No. The first thing is, see, all of that plays a part and we'll go into it. The first thing is perception, right? Two aspects to this. How do they perceive this call? So they've hopped onto the call. What is their perception of this call? And the second thing is, how do they want to be perceived? Now, you get two opposites here, right? So with intellectual bias, they can either look perfect from the way that they hold themselves to their background, everything immaculate, or to the opposite, shit. They don't give two flying fucks. This is just another part of the fucking day. So these two extremes can highlight to me very quickly, I'm dealing with an intellectual buyer. Now, I'll still have doubts because the further I go onto the call, the more affirmations I get to my, don't say thesis, to my idea or my hypothesis that they are an intellectual buyer, right? But then from the get-go, how are they perceiving this call and how do they want to be perceived? That will tell me very quickly, is this person an intellectual buyer? Now, straight after that, looking at their environment, looking at how they speak, their tonality will tell me like everything I need to know. But then one big aspect is lies. One thing you guys will know is I'm a big fan of fucking listening. Now, I don't listen to the fucking retards of the world. My brain typically not turns off. I'll just think my own thoughts and entertain myself. However, when I'm on a call, I looking out for liars, right? Liars are very easy to spot if you actively listen because things won't make sense, right? I'll give an example. If someone's they don't care what they look like, the perception is shit, but now they're telling me how good they are. These two things are not the same. But the sign I'm trying to make is like here. It's equal, but not the same too. Why do you not care about your physical presentation, but you're caring about everything that you're saying? These two are contradicting. They contradict. And the second that I see contradiction, I'm going to start digging. Indirectly, I'm not going to call them out, but I'm going to start digging and I'm going to allow things to not make sense. And I'm going to stick until they do. Because if it doesn't make sense to me, I'm going to struggle to close. Right? I may potentially close them, but then if I'm not closing them, I don't know why I'm not closing them. So I'm going to keep pushing. So you have to listen because 90% of your prospect clientele will lie to you. Right? They will flat out lie. Now, guys, give me 3 ideas on why they are likely to lie to you.
Because they want to end the call.
Maybe. Mansoor?
better pricing or
Potentially.
discounts.
Okay, yes, that's one type. Yes, but that would be more intellectual buyer. So an intellectual buyer is more likely or more well prepared to lie to you about how good they're doing in order to get discounts, but only certain types. Further, there's something a lot more.
To show that they don't need you.
Go a bit further. Why?
They seem so perfect, so even if you had something good for their business, they won't accept it.
Yes, but you're thinking too far. Yes, you're connecting it too much to the call. All of you lie on this call. Like on this call, every single one of you lie on socially. Right? All of you lie. I guarantee you, in multiple instances, whether with friendships, prospective relationships, family, so on and so forth, who here has tried to make their life seem better than what it actually is? Not to a high extreme, but let's say not highlight how shit life can be. Has anyone here ever done that?
Because of the ego?
Yes. Right? Your life can be absolute shit, depressed. Like, as an example, Andrej looks like he's honestly contemplating getting a rope and just finishing it off.
No, I was just thinking about what you said.
Yeah, but I'm using it as an example. Yes. However, when people say, how's everything? It's all good. Life is good. Doesn't go into detail. Doesn't explain how shit life is. Because most people are blind, right? I came to this conclusion a very long time ago. If my life is shit, what does that mean? Oh, that means everyone else's life is shit. If I keep hitting problems, I can't be the fucking only one. The bulk of everyone else is hitting problems as well. But then most people don't recognize this, right? Most people do not see that other people's lives are shit and you assume everyone else's life is good, right? No one's life is really that good. Even people who have it very good, their life isn't that good, right? As an example, if we were to do, we won't do it now. If we were to do a opening up session where everyone highlights something shit that's going on in their life, and the winner is a person with the biggest shit, right? You guys would be impressed with what everyone else is going through, right? And realistically, if everyone put their problems in the middle of the table and there's like swap and share, the likelihood is as you put your problems in the middle of the table and you look at everyone else's, you're like, I don't really want to play swap and share. Right? Everyone else's life is shit. But then on a call, people will lie. Because when you ask them, what happened in the past 6 months? How many people are likely to say, I've had the worst 6 months ever. I can't figure out anything else. I don't know what I'm doing. I keep trying and I keep failing. How many people do you think are going to hop into a call and say that? Considering the fact that we're still in the beginning of the call and they don't know if you're competent enough or not to fix their problems. They're still assessing you. So do you think people are going to share their struggles with you? Their insecurities, put it all out raw? Of course they're not going to, which means by proxy, they're going to lie. So one big thing on intellectual bias is you guys need to be able to identify when someone's an intellectual buyer and when they're just talking shit. And the fact is, if you have any ounce of doubt that they are an intellectual buyer, 9 times out of 10, it's because they are not an intellectual buyer. And you are better to treat them not as one rather than one. But now, on the off chance that they are an intellectual buyer, you'll know this because when you try to do negative rapport, they're going to get pissed off very quickly. Like very, very quickly pissed off. Right? Not insecure, more irritated. And there's a difference between the two. All of this is very nuanced. But now, let's go into a bit more detail on the different structure of a sales call. Dio kicked it off well in the beginning, where he had said it is the discovery, the negative report, completely miss out. Then you have the presentation, and then you have objection handling. You know you're doing well when this part is your biggest part. The more questions an intellectual buyer asks you, the more likely you are to close them. Most people will get stressed thinking so many objections, they don't like, da, 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 da. Why is it that an intellectual buyer is asking you lots of questions, Dio?
Because he's interested in what you offer.
Go further. Why is he asking questions?
He wants to know more about what you offer.
Why?
Because he sees the value in what you offer and thinks that what you offer.
No, you're going down the wrong line.
Okay.
Andrej, why? Andrej,
Can't think of anything.
Celine,
Skeptical of your.
not necessarily.
No.
It is okay, Mansoor.
He's trying to get gaps at what you're doing or negative
Very,
sides.
very good. So, with an intellectual buyer, it is a logical purchase. So I am logically going to rip apart your product and see, do you have backup plans? Do you have fail safes in order? I'm going to ask you all aspects, and depending on how you answer, it will tell me whether you are good or aren't good. Now, in this case, if you ever justify your existence, as an example, they say, why do you do this? And then you just fucking over speak and over blah, 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 blah. You're now an idiot. You've now lost confidence. When it comes to intellectual bias, they'll ask you a question. In the most ideal world, a 3-word answer. Answer. That is the best that you can do. Obviously, if they want an explanation, you keep it concise and then silence. You shut the fuck up. You give your answer, you shut the fuck up. Now, on the basis that you're deflecting, cool, don't shut the fuck up, change the conversation, and then ask some questions. Like do a successful deflection. However, when it comes to this type of objection handling, answer, silence, wait for the next one. Let them process it. Stay confident when you finish your sentence. End it with a strong pause. Is there any, let me think of an example. What do you do with the leads that you can't send over? Oh, we're going to put them on a drip campaign, and then we'll touch base with them every 3 weeks to make sure, to check if there's any adjustments in their status to see if we can qualify them again and send them back to you. That's it. Let them process what you said. Let them ask follow-up questions. The more concise you are, the better you will be. Also, with all types of buyers, you need to focus on selling the solution over here. They don't care about the nooks and crannies. All they care about is ROI. And is what you do a logical cause and effect with ROI? One thing leads to ROI. Another thing increases ROI. Another thing lowers the capacity for potential problems, which could affect ROI, so on and so forth. The key thing is identifying, and the easiest way is niches, right? If you don't want to bump into brokies, you'll hop into one of these niches. You're going to get less book calls, they're harder to book, but you won't end up with brokies. But now there's nothing too wrong with brokies. You can get brokies in debt or take out loans, or brokies can afford, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. Now, does anyone have any questions with intellectual buyers? Wonderful. So let's go one step further. Okay. Marcus, give me an example question. This will be challenging, this next section. Marcus, give me an example of a question an intellectual buyer is likely to ask. Celine.
Like,
Andrej.
Why would I pay you to do it if I can watch a couple of YouTube videos and do it myself?
Most likely not. Most likely something a brokey would say due to the fact that they understand how business works. Why doesn't Elon Musk build his own fucking rockets? Mansoor.
Having worked with other clients before,
Potentially, yes. Yes, that's a good one. Celine.
Have you had any fails before? Like work-wise?
Likely not, because everyone's got failures. They may ask, but that's more of a personality thing rather than an intellectual bias thing. Where's Waldo?
Think of one.
Another example would be, what do you do with leads who aren't good? What happens if I'm unavailable to speak with a lead? How are you going to fit this into my schedule? Yes, what you guys have to do is when I ask something like this, you have to think intellectual buyer. Most likely business is good. Most likely they're busy. Most likely they have a team, right? From all of these, right, we can look at questionings. What happens if I'm full, right? Schedule, handover. Another thing would be quality, right? So quality is a fun question. So I'm going to ask this to each one of you until I get the correct answer. I could get it first time round. So let's go with Chahat. My question to you is, what if I don't think the leads are good quality? What's your response?
I'm sorry, I would not know how to react, I think. I can't really think of anything right now.
Mansoor.
We will do our best to make sure that they are very qualified before.
Nope. Dog shit. I asked you a question, you just waffled with an answer that has nothing to do with anything and doesn't give any reassurance. Abdullah.
What would you consider the leads high quality?
Say that sentence in English.
What will you consider high quality leads?
Good. That is a good way. The first thing that you need to do is identify what do they consider to be high quality. All right. Now, I tell you that I only want leads that are going to close. I want only closable leads. What is your response? Let's go with Andrej.
I have special proven methods from my past clients that can guarantee this leads.
And this is why girls are going to leave you. Celine. What I had said was, I said to you, I then followed up by saying, I only want leads that are going to close. What is your response?
And what was the original question?
No, the original question was quality of the leads. Then the response is, what do you define as high quality leads? And then I've now said, I only want leads that close. What is your response?
We'll make sure that they close.
Nope. Good luck with whatever future husband you have, because you're going to be way too agreeable and that's going to cause you problems. Let's go with Marcus.
We will make sure that they are pre-qualified by our team.
And that is the same response that I gave to Celine, I give to you. Where's Waldo? Hmm?
I don't know.
I don't know. And that's why you're not going to have a relationship, because you don't know. Dio, please be the 15-year-old that knows the answer that no one else knows.
I thought of saying qualification, but you said
It's
it wasn't
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
there we go. My response, sorry, Mansoor, let me just give the answer. My response would be, and I want to date Megan Fox at her prime. Right? That is the response I would give. The reason for that is, as an agency, I cannot guarantee the close. I cannot guarantee that people will want to work with you. I cannot guarantee that everyone is the right fit. People may change their mind. So I cannot give you qualified leads that will only close. On the basis that I could, I'd be printing cash for every single person in your niche, but that's not how it works. There's competition. differences, there's change of variables. All I can do as an agency is provide you leads that are interested, from moderately interested to high interest. I will not send you anyone who doesn't know why they're being sent, but then it's up to you to close the deal. Let's say, as an example, Andres, I'm going to ask you the question. If I was to organize a blind date, right, with Monjul, our Where's Waldo, and a supermodel who's really horny, does that guarantee that he's going to get laid?
No.
But no, it's a very horny supermodel. I've ticked all the fucking boxes. She wants it and she's hot. Is Monjul likely to get laid, yes or no? In your opinion?
What if she doesn't want him?
There the fuck we go. What is the difference between the example I've just given and you guys handing over leads to your clients? Is there any difference? So why the fuck are you giving promises that you can't keep up with? So we'll try that again. Celine, my question to you is, and can you make sure that all, like for me, a qualified lead is people who are ready to close? What is your response?
We can't make sure of that, but we'll give you the best, the people that are looking for your service.
Still too agreeable, right? I would respond with a question. I would say something along the lines of, Celine, can I ask you a question? You'd say yes. If I sent you a lead that was at the top bracket, top pricing, they were ready to move. They had a call with you, they had a chat, you guys had a difference of opinion, you guys didn't like each other, they then went to one of your competitors. Did I do anything wrong?
No.
To the same extent, I can't guarantee that these leads are all going to close. I can't guarantee that all of them are going to work with you. I can't guarantee that someone in their family is going to die, they're going to change mind or leave the country. I can't guarantee any of this. They may end up in jail. All I can do is provide you leads, as many leads as possible, all of which are interested in your service. That's where I stop, and that's where your closing needs to kick in. Now, on the basis that you'd want help with closing, that's a completely different thing that we're able to organize because we have got lots of experience, right? We can act as consultants, we can set up a few other things to maximize closing. But when it comes to what we're talking about now, all I can do is send you as many people as possible. I can throw you as many balls as possible of people who have shown interest. Some of them are going to be amazing straight balls that you smack out the park. Others are going to be curve balls. Others are going to be a little bit more difficult. That's what I can do. Now, is that something that you want? Would you like to be in touch with everyone who is potentially interested in your service? Or do you only want 100% success? Because if you really want that, you can go somewhere else and someone else can lie to you saying that they can do that. And then you can be disappointed.
What do you mean with agreeable?
Well, when I called you
Like you
agreeable.
said, what I said, yeah.
Yeah, you're hyper agreeable. That's not good for you.
Like, what do you mean?
Like you're too agreeable. Like you won't, like you are not likely to argue. You're not likely to stand up for yourself unless in extreme circumstances. You'll most likely stand up for other people before yourself. And you agree with people. Like you'd rather not have confrontation and keep everything amicable, even if it means it's not perfect. As in, Cillian, do you like conflict?
Yeah.
You do like conflict?
No, but like, I don't like not like it. No, I don't like conflict.
There we go.
No, but like, I wouldn't
I
say
love
not agree.
I love conflict. Like I'll try to avoid it, but if it happens, like it's not that I get turned on, but something happens to me. Yeah, there's like a demon inside who wakes us up, time to take over.
Like, I wouldn't try not to be. Like, I wouldn't go the other way, so to not have conflict.
No, but you're more prone to, from my analysis, you are more prone to making everyone be happy rather than pissing off people. You're more likely to agree in circumstances than disagree. I'll meet a stranger and accidentally piss them off just because I've opened my mouth. Make sense?
Maybe.
I could be completely wrong. You could be the most disagreeable person on this call.
The thing is, yeah, but in real life, like that's not.
But what's the difference between this call and real life?
I don't get how what I said was agreeable. That's what I meant.
Because you had said, okay, sorry for the analysis, then it's because you had said that we will do our best to make sure that they're really high quality, which doesn't answer
Which,
should be agreeable.
okay, makes sense.
Yeah, it's still it's an answer that can work. It's not a bad answer. It's just agreeable. And I'd much rather everyone be very disagreeable because that will align with more success than anything else. There is a direct correlation between how disagreeable you are and how successful you will be.
Got it.
Yes. Yep. Also, how more likely you are to end up in a jail cell, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. There are some negatives to that. However, yeah, like every few months I end up in a position where I'm like, oh, that's relatively close to a jail cell. Best we behave. Also known as stop like speaking to human beings. Right? Wonderful. So that brings us to the end of this on intellectual bias. Does anyone have any questions?
One short
Can
answer
you?
could be. Oops, sorry.
No, that's okay. You can go ahead.
Look at the
When
level of agreeableness. An automatic apology for no fucking reason. Then you please go ahead. Inspiring.
one short answer could be just, are you able to close this the leads I'm send you?
No, because you're gonna get retards who are gonna say yes. If they're good, I'll close them. You'll often find that you'll get that from people who have only worked with referrals. Well, they'll say, I close 80% of all of my deals, so I'm very confident. These aren't fucking referrals. These people don't know who you are and they don't have a point of reference. So the closing rate will be different, but then they're going to utilize that because they're stupid. Either ignorance or stupid. You get my point?
Mhm.
Like if I'm going on a date with a chick and I've been recommended by 3 fucking people, my chances, even though I'm a cunt, go through the fucking roof. Yes. But then if they don't know me, my chances go down. So you also don't want to give them a closed question, which doesn't really help. Are you able to close everyone I send you? If they're really good, yes, I am.
Mhm.
But you need to clarify, like setting standards is very important.
Okay.
And then Chahat,
As you mentioned that Celine was really agreeable, could you maybe give an example of like what's the correct thing to say if you are expecting maybe disagreement?
it's not expecting, it's being very comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, as in, what is a good response?
Yep.
Straight up, no. If they say, are you able to make sure everyone's ready to close? No, of course not. Make them feel stupid. Of course not. That's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, what do you mean? And then you explain why that's not possible.
So that means you need to like kind of dig deep and like not be too much like a person who just agrees on everything, but also put your terms forth.
Yes, I'll give an example of my behavior today that happened very, very recently. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I had gone to a coffee place with a lady. Yes. And she had sat down before me. I was just doing stuff, right? And then we
Mm-hmm.
chill. I've had a Red Bull, she's had a tea and something, right? Some matcha tea or whatever. And then we hadn't hit the minimum spend. Now I knew this place had a minimum spend. I knew I wasn't going to give a flying fuck about the minimum spend, right? We just sat down. And then the lady came and said, "Da, da, 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 we're going to charge you the minimum." I said, I'm a regular frequenter, da, 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 so I'm just agreeing, right? She says, cool, let me go get my manager. No issues. She went to go get the manager. Then I see the manager approaching. First thing I'm going to do is that I stand up and start walking towards the manager. All of a sudden, the manager's not expecting that. And she's now thinking
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of thoughts. What's happening? I was going to go have a conversation, but now he's walking towards me. This isn't good. What it shows is I'm comfortable with discomfort because I should feel
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable in this position. And she's thinking thoughts in
Mm-hmm.
her head how to handle me, but I've now stood up. Yes. And then now
Yeah, that
she's
makes sense.
yeah. Like, so I'm comfortable pushing the level of discomfort way the fuck higher than she is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You bring me 5, 6 managers, go straight to the fucking top. I'll get myself banned from this place before I lose. Now, granted, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be banned. It's a wonderful establishment. Yes. But then it's how far will you go? Because let's say two dogs are fighting. One's going to stop barking first. Which one's going to stop barking? Make sense?
Yes, that does.
Yes. Wonderful. And in that circumstance, I'm saying it's impossible. And I've got no issues explaining it. Like, we're going to go back and forth on this. Because, like, they're being retarded. Anyone who says, can you close 100% is fucking retarded. Like, absolutely retarded. Because even then, the ROI is unspeakable. If you were able to convert 100% of leads at a high amount of lead flow, they would make so much fucking money. It is retarded. There are only certain times where that's possible, and that is borderline 100% dependent on market trends. So, as an example, if a market is booming because of, let's say, government grants or changes to policy, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. Right? Let's use, I don't know, Texas as an example. Right? There were changes in laws throughout America on taxes. Texas was good. All of a sudden, if you're working for a company that does taxes, right, and you're providing them leads, your success rate and the amount of leads and their conversion rate is about to go through the fucking roof. Right? So under certain conditions, yes, that can happen, but only under certain rare conditions. Wonderful.
Yes.
What did you tell to the manager? And did you win?
Of course I won. Yeah, it's because I went back and forth. She then said, no, because I said I come here a bunch and I never listen to your fucking policy. Yes. She then checked, like, I gave my number and she checked my number. There's like a tab on numbers, and she saw that I always do that. She then said, wonderful, I'm putting a note. This will be the last time that it happens, but that's okay. I said, no issues, because I know next time I go, I'm going to give them a different number. Yeah. Wonderful. I was going to rank all of you guys just briefly on your level of agreeableness, but I'll give you an average score of 2 out of 10 on level of disagreeableness. As a total ranking, the highest one of you achieves a 3. Yes. Wonderful. All of you need to become more disagreeable. It will massively help with your levels of success and what you get from life. Wonderful. Any questions? No? It's okay. One day I'll be proud of one of you. Maybe. Not likely, but we can see. All of you booked into your next session? Yes? Abdullah, you booked in? MashaAllah. To the mu'mins, assalamu alaikum. To the kuffar, have a nice evening. And I will see you guys.
Alaikum salam.
See ya.